Okay, it looks like we're right at 10 my time in Los Angeles, so we'll go ahead and get started. I know you all are busy. Um, First of all, just thank you so much for taking the time to join today's webinar. We are so excited about the launch of our new investigations product, and we're so excited to show you the tool today. Um, for those that don't know me, I'm Madyson. I am the Director of Customer Success here at AllVoices, and I'll be joined a little bit further down the line by Jeff Harris, who's our VP of Product, who's actually going to walk you through the new tool and show you what we've built over the last few months. So let me just pull up the next screen here. So a little bit about kind of why we're here today. We launched our first investigations product about a year ago. Some of you may have used it, some of you may be currently using it, some of you may have never used it. But over the span of that last year, we have continually been collecting feedback, learning, doing hundreds of hours of research, and just listening to what you all need, how the product could be better, and really kind of putting together a plan of how we can make the next iteration of our investigations tool. So through all of that, thank you all for your feedback and your questions and sharing more about what would make it better. This is a little bit about what has come into play into this new version of our investigations tool. The first is a step-by-step workflow. One of the main things that we heard from you all was how important it was to have a very consistent guided flow for an investigation. That can make sure that investigations are really consistent at your workplace. Everyone is following the same exact process. You know exactly the steps that you need to take to complete the investigation, and you know that all those steps were taken. So that not only creates that consistent, fair process, but it makes sure that all of your investigations are really comprehensive, and also just makes it easier. You open up the tool, you've got step one right there, you know exactly what to do, and you can just go through the flow from there. It's easy for admins at all levels to use. That was really important from a lot of our customers, was that, hey, we have people using the tool that haven't done a lot of investigations, and we have people using the tool that have done a lot. Everyone has different ways of how they're doing it, and sometimes we find that they're done different ways and things are missing. And so that was something that we heard from you all. And with this new launch, it's easy for admins at all levels to use. It's, someone that's not done a lot of investigations knows exactly what steps to take. And then someone who's, done a lot of them, it's guided through that same process, and knows exactly what steps to follow. And so everything is really consistently completed there. Very exciting. We have a lot of really great AI features incorporated throughout this tool as well. If you are frequently in AllVoices, you see Vera, our little friend there in the bottom left. Vera is our virtual employee relations assistant, and she is incorporated throughout AllVoices. Through a chatbot, making suggestions, summarizations, trained on HR and legal policies. You can even train her on your own, company policies. Lots of Vera throughout the investigations product, just to make all that manual work a lot easier and just take some of that burden of that repetitive manual work off of your plate. And lastly, something that is core to AllVoices is just secure all-in-one documentation. You have that centralized place to have everything all in one place. It's stored securely, it's confidential. You've got only the right admins in there, and you have a really easy go-to if down the line you need to check back on that investigation. You've got everything, all in one place. So that's a very high level, broad overview of kind of what is new in the tool. So much more than that I'm excited to show you. But before we dive into the product, wanted to share a note from our founder, Claire Schmidt. Claire is actually on maternity leave as of just a few days ago with her newborn baby boy. So we're so excited for her. But wanted to share this note that she put together to share with you all. So I'll just go ahead and read it here. Claire says that we're really excited to introduce our new investigations product. It's a big step forward in our mission to create healthier workplaces by empowering employees to speak up and helping people teams take action. For employees, the new investigations workflow makes sure every investigation is handled with consistent care, which helps you build trust in a fair process. For people teams, we've added some great new AI features to save you time and energy on manual tasks. Vera helps you with data entry, suggests interview questions, and even drafts investigation summary reports. We designed this workflow to make investigations smoother, more efficient, and less stressful for everyone involved. Can't wait to share it with you today. So that's a note from Claire, so we're super excited. And then now just a little agenda of how today will work. So after this, I promise we'll dive into that demo. I know everyone's excited to see the product. But so how it's going to work today, the investigations tool is basically built out into 3 parts, the prepare, discovery, and resolution. So we have 4 kind of chapters that we'll walk you through today. We will pause in between each one in case there are questions that we want to take live. We want all of your questions, so please feel free to ask them. We ask that you use this Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and just put any of your questions there. You can ask them anonymously or non-anonymously, and then I will be monitoring it, as well as Wajahat on our team here, for any questions that we can, just answer directly in that tool there. Otherwise, we will mark them as answer live, and we will tackle them in between each chapter here. So please keep the questions coming as you are watching the demo, and we will make sure to answer all of them. So really excited to now introduce Jeff Harris, who's our VP of Product. He is going to walk you through the demo.
Very nice to see everyone. Okay, let me start screen sharing. Okay, great. Okay. I'm assuming my screen is now sharing with everyone. Great. Okay. So very excited to show you this. So we are set to release our new investigations product Tuesday of next week. So what you're seeing right now is our admin dashboard. So imagine you are an HR manager. This is all of the employee created cases and the admin created cases that you have access to. So imagine right now, someone sent you a Slack message, Laura. Laura sent you a Slack message saying she's having an issue with her boss and she wants to set up a time to talk to you about it. So you have a Zoom conversation with her, you take down that information, and then you go into our system to create a case. Again, so Laura could create that case herself, but in this instance, since we're talking to more HR people, I'll show you how it looks from your experience. Okay. So I'm going to click on create new case. Again, you're an HR manager now creating a new case in our system. Okay. Okay, let me just get this one thing up. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, let's pull the information up here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this case so you don't have to watch me type this in. Okay, so I type in this information. So Laura, a junior employee on the business development team from the New York office, filed a formal complaint against her supervisor, Benjamin Stanley, alleging sexual harassment. The incident started 52 days ago. First incident was brought to attention 52 days ago. So I type in all this information. So we have something called Vera prefill. So Vera is our AI tool. So as the admin starts typing in the information, Vera will start filling out the case information on your behalf to save you some time. So you can see here, she categorized this as harassment, sexual advances. I said it started 52 days ago. She pulled that date, 6/9/24, based on today's date. I said business development. She filled out business development. I said NY office. She put in New York. So she's filling this out on your behalf. So, okay, so Laura, let's call this Laura case. Okay. At the bottom, you'll see something new. This is called our initiate investigation workflow. So previously, you would create a case, you go in and you start a separate investigation, which was a little tedious and like a little duplicative. So we wanted to allow the admin to start the investigation if they wanted as soon as the case was created. So Vera here, based on the content of the summary, is saying she recommends an investigation. You can take that recommendation, you can uncheck it. We have a little helper text too explaining, just because you're starting an investigation doesn't mean the parties here are going to be informed right away. So you're not going to get an automatic email sent to them saying investigation started. And again, we pulled in their information here based on the content of that summary. Okay, so I'm going to start an investigation. Excellent. Okay. Okay, so now I am into this specific case. So this is the Laura case we just created. And what you'll see now is this new investigations tab. So if a case doesn't have an investigation, the biggest difference is you just won't see this tab. But since I started investigation, you'll see this tab right here. I'm going to assign an admin to this, Enrique. And now I'm going to go into the actual, Vera here also provides a little summary of what the case is about. I'm going to go into the actual investigation now. Great. Before I do that, though, I want to quickly show you how you can create an investigation on an employee-created case. Also, you can create an investigation after you create an admin-created case after the fact if you decide you want to turn that into investigation. So I'll just quickly show you how that works. Okay, so let me pull up an investigation, a case that doesn't have an investigation associated with it. So let's see if I can find one. We have a lot of investigations testing. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so this is an employee-created case. Employees can't initiate an investigation. They can request one, but it's up to the HR admin to decide if this warrants an investigation. So we're going to make it very, very easy. So employee creates a case. All you need to do is click Initiate Investigation Workflow, and you automatically kick off that investigation. So, right, so it takes you into that same experience I just showed you before. This case is now transitioned over to investigation. Okay, great. I'm going to go back to the original case that I just showed you. Okay, so during our user interviews, we discovered that the majority of investigators are the same person as the assigned admin for the case. So I assigned Enrique as the admin. With one click, I can assign Enrique as the investigator as well. So he is now set as the investigator for that case. So before I go into the actual flow, I'm going to pause just for a minute, just if there's any questions about how you start an investigation.
There are none in the chat or the Q&A.
Okay, so I will keep going. Okay, great. So now I'm into the investigation plan. I signed my admin, I signed my investigator, same person. Now I'm creating my investigation plan. So you will see this thing called auto draft throughout. So this is Vera taking the information that's been shared so far in the investigation and helping you draft certain aspects of the investigation. If you don't want to use Vera, you can have it completely turned off. So Vera will not show up at all in the experience, and you still have a very structured, streamlined, consistent way of running investigations, whether you're using Vera or not. But again, Vera is here to make your lives a lot easier, so people we've talked to are very excited about using her. Okay, so Vera is drafting here the issue to be investigated. She's writing this in a very non-biased way, just stating the facts that have been shared with her of what needs to be, when needs to be investigated as part of this investigation. So I'm not going to read every single word here, it'll be a little tedious, but this is what needs to be investigated. The date of investigations today, you can see it pulled in the complainant and respondent already into the field, so you don't have to type it in again. Again, we're trying to streamline it so you don't have to keep repeating the same information over and over again. And I'm going to add a witness as well. So I'm going to add a witness. Let's see, Emily Meyer. Okay, so now I've created my investigation plan, and I'm moving on to the next step of the flow. Next step is evidence. So I'm going to add all of the evidence that has been shared with me before going into interviews. This is not a linear flow, right? Investigations are never linear. So if you need to jump back to the investigation plan or you want to jump forward to interviews, you can jump very easily through the flow. I'll show you how that works in a second. But again, this is the kind of the structured flow at the beginning that makes sense to start with an investigation. Okay, so now I'm going to upload evidence. Okay, so I'm uploading evidence. It could be text messages, it could be emails shared with you ahead of going into the interviews. And as you upload this, Vera is learning this information so she can help kind of pre-fill the documents throughout with this information that you're sharing with her here. Again, you can upload multiple documents at once. You can upload one document, two documents, whatever it might be. And we will also be adding soon folders. So you can add multiple documents to one folder. So it's not just a linear list of all the information shared here. Okay, so I uploaded evidence. I'm now going to move on to the next step. Okay, great. This is the interview stage. Okay, so we're pulling through all of the involved parties. So you saw Laura here. She was the one that raised the issue. She raised it against Benjamin Stanley, and the witness mentioned was Emily. So all of this information is captured here. You have the ability to use the templates that we have to conduct the interviews, or you can upload your own document. So if you're using Google Docs or Word as your template to manage your interviews, you can easily upload that document right here, and it'll be stored right here in this row. Or you can use the templates that we created. I'll just kind of quickly show you that. So our templates are dynamic. They're easy to use. You can add questions very easily as you go along. We have different templates for the respondent, complainant, witness. We're going to be adding more Vera AI functionality to this page in the future. Imagine like as you start asking questions, Vera can recommend follow-up questions you may want to ask based on the answer. So we kind of looking to those types of things. But for now, we just have these 3 standard templates to use for the different parties. Again, you can add questions if you want. You can answer, do all that right here. Okay, let me go back. As well as credibility assessments. So how credible is this person? So do we believe this person is telling the truth? And we have a series of questions to kind of go through just to capture it as well. You'll see this messaging functionality. So this messaging functionality will not be available on the first day of release next week, but it's about a week or 2 away as we'll kind of discuss. But this allows you to message directly to these different parties. So you can, I want to set up an interview with you, and you can have all that communication right here in this interface without leaving. So, okay, so I am now in the discovery phase. I'll pause here. Are there any questions before we get back into it?
Yeah, Jeff, so we've gotten some great questions in the Q&A. I've answered most of them in the chat, but wanted to call out this one. So is it possible to also pull in information about the subject, complainant, or witness, such as job title, BOH, etc.?
Yes, we are looking into that. So into the investigation plan, being able to pull that information in here. So any employee information, it's not going to be there on day 1 of release, but that is something that we are considering as like a post MVP thing. So great question. Yeah. And also, as you kind of think about it, the questions that Vera could be recommending in the interviews, can be different if you're talking to a CEO versus an associate. So having that information also helps better inform Vera throughout the entire flow as well. Great question. Are there any other questions from the group?
Yeah, can you speak a little more about the messaging functionality and what that looks like? The question was, is it via email or Slack?
Yeah, it's via email. So if we have the person's email, you click on message, or automatically start up a chat window. You can message them directly there and have all of that communication kind of hosted right here. But right now it's all via email.
And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to be similar to the employee reporting portal where it's all through a portal still. Is that right? They'll get it through email.
Yes, exactly.
Portal. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. So those of you that have seen kind of what the employee sees when they get a new message as an anonymous reporter, they are sent a link and a code, and then they're taken to a secure messaging portal. Very similar functionality there. They'll just get that portal delivered to them via email.
Great. Sounds good. Anything else, Madyson?
Let's see. We just got one here. Is there a place to indicate that there's power imbalance between the parties in the dispute? That's a really interesting question. I take that as like if one is a manager versus a direct report or someone more junior, is that something you would want to, that could be logged?
Yeah, I would log that as, I would log that as part of the interview. So I would put that in the interview stage here, because anything shared with Vera at all will be taken into consideration. So sure already knows if someone's a manager or not, because that was shared in the summary. But if you want to include that here, you can do that too. Okay, I'm going to continue on. And last thing, just, as you do interviews, sometimes you need to add a new witness, or you can easily do that. So just click on this and it'll quickly allow you to add another witness to the investigation. So again, this thing is not supposed to be completely linear, it's dynamic. You're really going to be jumping back and forth between different steps. So we want to make sure we can accommodate that. Okay, I am going on now to the findings page. Okay, so this is all of the evidence, interviews, and credibility assessments that have been uploaded so far to the case. What is happening here, as kind of stated here, is Vera is going to help you now draft your investigation summary report based on all of this information shared. If you don't want a piece of evidence, as part of the summary report, you can just uncheck it. It won't be part of it. Easy to uncheck, obviously. And then as you generate the summary reports, it will not take this in consideration, the unchecked document. You can easily download, if you have a lot of evidence, you forget about things, you can easily download it to see again what that is before you make that decision. You can add any factual findings or allegations too. If you want to clearly document those out, you can do that as well. As well as Vera up here is providing a little policy analysis. So she's looking at the policies that you've uploaded. So we have a feature, we have the ability to train Vera. So if you have used that functionality where you can upload your handbook or your policies, Vera can reference those throughout. So she's looking at your policies here to see if there's anything that kind of breaks the policies that you have. Sure. Okay. I am going to go on now to the summary report. Okay, so I have everything checked, and now we're going to draft that summary report. Okay. So now this is Vera drafting the summary reports on your behalf. You can see that she pulls in the date. She pulls in the involved parties. She calls out the manager here, as you can kind of see. And she's creating a timeline. I didn't provide that much information, but she'll create kind of a detailed timeline of the investigation, but also of the incident, if that happens. So if there's like over the course of 4 or 5 days, if there's multiple instances, she can clearly document those here as well, create a nice timeline for you. A summary of the evidence and factual findings. And then looking at your policy to see how this case sets against your policy. Again, obviously, you can edit it, make any changes you want. So this is her drafting it, but obviously the idea here is not you just going to submit it as is. Obviously, there's probably things you may want to add, but we've done some testing and it seems to be very accurate and people seem very excited. You can download this. So if you want to share this out with your manager or the CEO, you can easily download this document and share it out with whoever you want. So yeah, you can, again, auto draft is on by default. If you want to turn it off, you can turn it off individually, or you can turn it off completely by org. So that by org is you just won't see this very thing at all throughout the experience. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to the resolutions part of the demo, but are there any questions I could answer on the discovery phase?
I think we got them all.
Great. Okay. And we have just a little notification saying once you submit this, we are not allowed, you're not, this is being published now, right? So I want to make sure that when you submit it, you're done with this and it's finalized. So we have just one little notification making sure they are aware, submit it. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so now we are moving on to our recommendations page. So here, you have the ability to add any recommendations that as part of the investigation. As the investigator, this is what I recommend should be an outcome of this investigation based on everything that's happened so far. So you can sign it to any of the parties very easily. You can add a description of what that recommendation is. Vera will also provide you recommendations. So she, if there's specific trainings that maybe she recommends, she can provide that to you with links there as well. So what makes conduct unwelcome? So there's a list of trainings she recommends. So you can add that recommendation very easily. You can take these recommendations. You don't need to take them. You might want to update the harassment policy and make it more comprehensive. You can easily update that as well. So now these are the recommendations that the investigator is making. Just because I make that recommendation doesn't mean that action is actually taken. So we've actually separated these two pages out. So we have the recommendations page. What I'm taking to now is like the take action page, what was actually done. So from an investigator, for the most part, my job is done. I've done the investigation, I've made my recommendations, and now it's up to the parties to decide if they are going to take these recommendations or not. Okay, so I'm going to submit this. It's going to pull through. So it pulled through the recommendations that I made into the take action. And then we have just clearly mapped out, yes or no, was this action taken? Again, so just because I make a recommendation doesn't mean that recommendation is actually taken. So we want to make sure we clearly document that yes or no, it was not taken. So yes, it was taken. I can add a note. I can also select the date that this action was taken. Okay. As well as you can categorize what was the final outcome. Was it a written warning? Was it a verbal warning? Was it demotion? was a dismissal. So you can clearly mark out what was the specific outcome of the investigation. Okay. And now I'm done. I mean, this is the entire kind of structured flow. I'm going to click on finish. I've finished the investigation. I see everything is complete. So we are releasing a week or two or so after the MVP, which is going live on Tuesday, what we're calling a wellness check-in. So 30 days after the investigation is complete, you will see a fourth step here. And this allows you to easily follow up with the involved parties, making sure that the complainant or respondent, they're doing okay, they're not being harassed anymore, or they're not being targeted because they submitted a case. So it allows you to easily follow up with all the parties. If you don't want to follow up with all the parties, you don't have to, but it just kind of creates a really easy experience to do that. Again, we want to make sure that we're not just solving the investigation, but we're trying to make the workplace better overall as well. Great. So I will pause now for any more questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, we have some great questions that I wanted to answer live because they are getting upvoted, and I think they're great to discuss to the whole group here. So let's start here. So in the summary, do screenshots display in that summary report if that's added as evidence, or is it just going to be kind of text in that summary report?
So can you upload documents to this?
Mm-hmm.
So you would upload any documents to the evidence stage. So here you can just go back to the evidence. You can upload any sort of documents there.
And do any of those display in the summary report, or that's more just text?
This is just text
explaining.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Because ideally you want to be able to download this and share it out.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Okay, and then another great question. Can Vera draft the summary using an attachment or submitted documentation, or does it have to be through the information you entered in the given sections?
Yes, so she takes into consideration as well any documents uploaded to evidence. So I uploaded this evidence here, which was a document that I wrote here, just kind of listing out all of the details of the complaint, witness testimonies, because I didn't want to obviously go through the full interview. So I uploaded this to Vera. So I uploaded this in the investigation flow, and Vera was able to reference this outside document, which was a Google Doc. Okay, so.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then another question, can you adjust the summary after you submit it? So I know you can adjust it right here. So it's kind of, yes. Vera kind of automatically creates it. You can make adjustments. Once you fully submit it, can you go back and adjust it?
So we've gone back and forth on this. So the feedback that we did in our user interviews is once you submit the summary report, it's done. If a company wants to be able to make that editable after the fact, we can do that. I mean, it's not going to be part of like day one release, just because we're purposely making this locked after you publish it. Because again, once that's done, the feedback we got, like you should not be able to go back and edit it. So we want to make sure it was locked down. But if an organization for whatever reason wants to be able to edit it afterwards, we can do that in the future. Yeah.
Great. Sounds great. Another one here we have, does the tool automatically send information or recommendations to the parties selected? Our team would like to have control over information shared.
No, nothing is automatically sent out. So it's up to the investigator to choose the recommendations. But even if I choose a recommendation, it's not automatically sent to any of the involved parties. It's up to you all to control when you reach out to them. Yeah.
Yep, awesome. All right, so some questions on the trainings now, on the recommended trainings. Can Vera's recommendations for trainings draw from a bank of trainings or standard recommendations we input into the system?
Great question. That's exactly where we're going with it. So right now we just have a default library. We have a partnership with a company called Mtrain. But the way it works is we upload all of their trainings into this library, and based on the content of the investigation, if Vera thinks any training is warranted, she will reference it here. Obviously, not everyone is using Mtrain. You have your own trainings, and it doesn't make sense for you to use a tool that you're not using. So you will in the future have the ability to upload your own trainings directly into Vera, and she'll be able to reference that. So again, not on day one of release, but soon after, she'll be able to reference specifically your trainings.
Awesome. And then I think you tackled this question, but someone asked, from where are the recommended trainings sourced? And I just want to highlight, we have a partnership with a company called Mtrain, and that's where the trainings are pulled from.
Yeah. So they have a big library of trainings that we pull through here.
Awesome. All right, another question here. How does this work for linked cases? For example, if we have multiple cases with repeated reporters, subjects, etc.
So at least I'm not sure
So linked cases, so let's say you have two cases that are related.
yeah.
You link them in AllVoices.
Yeah.
How does that affect the investigations? I assume it's just you'll do an investigation on one of those cases.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so you do investigations in one of those cases, you can clearly link it on the case details page, so you can see the cases that are connected together. We are working on another feature, I think we'll talk about it, called investigation precedent, which is a little bit similar, where basically as you're going through your final decisions on the recommendations page, you'll see all of the relevant investigations that you've done previously that you have access to. So you can see I have access to 9 sexual harassment cases. I can see the outcome of those investigations. I can also see if this specific person has been involved in those previously as too. So you'll have that information as you go into kind of your recommendation part. Again, that's not going to be in day 1 of release, but soon after.
All right. Are we able to have different resolutions or outcomes for different participants? For example,
Yes.
one person may be terminated and another person may receive a final warning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do all of that right here from your recommendation. So you choose a party and you can say what you want as your description of the outcome of the yeah. So you break it down by specific person.
Great. Great. Will the follow-up action remain active if I resolve the case, or does the case need to remain open?
The wellness check-in? The
The
wellness,
follow-up action. Let's see.
I'm guessing they're talking about the wellness check-in.
Yeah, maybe the wellness check-in or any of the
Yeah, so if you, with the wellness check-in, as long as you click on that, the wellness check-in is triggered when you click on that finish here. So once you click on this finish here, whether the case is closed or not on the case details page, this triggers that 30 days for the wellness check-in to happen.
Okay, great. And that'll happen regardless if the case is open or resolved.
Correct. Yeah. But if I click it, clicking this doesn't have any impact on the wellness check-in showing here.
Awesome. All right, a few more questions. Great questions, everyone. Keep
These
them
are great
coming.
questions. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're helpful to everybody. Okay, so what does the final report look like and is it editable? So I know we kind of tackled that with the editable piece, but can you share a little bit more about, or just kind of maybe demo what that final summary report looks like?
Yes. So it's just going to look exactly like this page. You just click the download and I'm not sure if this is hooked up on the DQA piece of it, but it's going to look exactly like this page. It's just a PDF of it. So.
Okay, great. So a PDF of that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You see that
okay,
here?
Great. Perfect. I know we spoke about the screenshots not showing or like any evidence showing here. Are screenshots transcribed or read for that information to be included in Vera's analysis?
So it's like a JPEG type of thing.
Yeah, let's say it's like a screenshot of like a Slack conversation.
So it depends. It reads PDFs, it reads Word docs, screenshots. We're still kind of working through. So I don't have a definitive answer yet. We're kind of working through that piece right now.
Okay. We'll definitely keep you all posted on that one. Okay, another question here. What exposure is there if an investigator makes recommendations, but management does not want to act on or wants to act on only a few recommendations?
So exposure to the investigator, the company, what?
Yeah, looks like exposure. What exposure is there if an investigator makes recommendations, but management decides not to act or only act on a few of those recommendations?
So the involved parties they're not informed of like these are the recommendations that were recommended. So they don't, so they can't say, oh, they recommended these 5 things, you only did 2. So they don't have that insight. This is specifically for the investigator and HR team to kind of manage. So I don't know if that answers your question, but they're not automatically informed of the recommendation. So they'll just know of the actual actions that were taken.
So, great. Can the summary report contain hyperlinks?
Yes.
Okay. And will Vera provide citations from interviews, evidence, and fact-finding?
Yes, we are working on that. It will not be day one, but yeah, theoretically, you will be able to reference specifically that in the future.
Okay. And then the trainings for M-Train, I just want to clarify, you don't need to pay for an M-Train account to use those. Those will be included in the product.
Yeah.
Okay. Are those M-Train trainings identified by M-Train's pillars? Some companies may have purchased only certain M-Train pillars and therefore will not have access to their full library.
I'm not sure how the pillar. So we don't have their entire library. We just have a certain subset of I think they're called micro lessons. So that's what we're pulling in here.
Okay. And then just want to make sure I'm correct on this one. Currently, you're able to go in to a resolved case and add documents. That's not changing, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you can continue adding evidence at any point. Just if you want to continue uploading, continue just adding, making sure everything is clearly documented and everything's in one place. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, a couple more questions and then we'll move forward. So the PDF is not editable. Do you have an editable version if you don't like the format of the report or have a specific format that you use that is not the same as the summary report?
So
So I
you
can,
say,
the summary report is editable before you download it.
yeah,
So, Vera kind of helps generate that, but maybe hey, I know I don't need a timeline in my summary reports,
yeah,
or
you can just get rid of
I
it.
want
You
to add
can,
something in.
you can easily just get rid of any question you want. So if you want to get rid of this question, I can just get rid of it and delete that question.
And you can add some there too.
Easily add questions. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so that's editable before the PDF. Obviously, the PDF, not editable. And then the second part of the question, have a specific format that you use that is not the same as the summary report. I think it's just going to be, this is your format. You can edit it in the tool. And then if you need it downloaded outside of the tool, you might not need it downloaded outside of the tool. But if you do,
Yeah.
that'll be a PDF.
Yeah. You can drag and drop and change the order too. So it's pretty dynamic and flexible page.
Awesome. Okay, last question. And then I know there's one more that I'll answer, or two more that I'll answer kind of in the chat here. But do we have a dashboard to view how many investigations are in each stage?
So you have a dashboard to see if you have a dashboard to see what cases have an investigation associated with it, and you can see the status of the case. We are thinking through of how to better build in, like, if you want just a cleaner view of, you can filter down just, if I only want to see my investigations, so you can see the status here. We're thinking through how to better build investigations into the case homepage, but this is how you can do it now. You can filter down case dashboard just to see investigations. You can see the different status and stuff.
Great. And that's related to the last question I see here. Will we be able to see how many cases have investigations? Just want to highlight that's also what Jeff's showing here. So Jeff, if you can scroll up just to show that button again. Yeah, so this is our case manager view that you're all familiar with. That little icon with the person and the magnifying glass is your investigation filter. So if I select that, that will show me all my cases that have an investigation. And then you can always download that or, see the total number, anything you need there.
You can see, okay, so I've now looked at all my investigations. I can see which ones are resolved. I can see I have 32 resolved investigations. So you can kind of filter the table.
Yep.
You can easily clear it and go back.
Awesome. Okay, that is all the questions we have. Keep them coming if you have more, keep them coming. And if we don't get to them, we'll make sure to get back to you if you share your name or email.
Great. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for the thoughtful questions. We are very, very excited to release this. This is just the first version of this new investigations. We can continue to add more features and functionality. But we think even on day one of this release, there is significant value that we'll be able to deliver for our customers. So that is what I have for the demo. Pass it back over to Madyson.
Great. Awesome. All right, let me share my screen again here. Okay, that was our demo. Hopefully that was exciting to everyone as it has been to us internally. Also want to mention, keep the feedback coming. Us on the CS team, we want to hear all your questions and feedback as you start using it. So keep that coming beyond, today. And then a few FAQs that I wanted to cover. I know there are probably lots of questions around the tool. We saw this one in the chat a couple times, but who has access to investigations? Is this, an added fee, anything like that? It will be included in all of our existing customers' Pro and Enterprise accounts. For new customers, it's only included in the Enterprise account, but you can always add it on, but it makes more sense to do the Enterprise. So yeah, launching August 6th, as Jeff mentioned. So you'll see that in your dashboard, ready to use if you are a Pro or Enterprise current customer. And then another question, what happens to my existing investigations? So I'm sure a lot of you have investigations ongoing now, or you plan to start one tomorrow, anything like that. All those investigations will stay completely as is. So the flow that you're used to, the format you're used to, those will stay as is. Anything created from August 6th forward will have the new flow. So that, August 6th, I go in, I create a case or I start an investigation that will look new. On August 4th or 5th, you'll be using our existing investigations product. So nothing changing to your data. All of the work that you did on past investigations will stay as is. And then the last question that I know people often have is, hey, what if we don't want to use the AI features, or what if we're not able to from the get-go? No problem at all. Just let your CSM know, and we can make sure that Vera is turned off for your investigations flow. So we can turn that functionality off, and you can still use the investigations workflow. So no problem there. Just let your CSM know, and they can help with that. And then I'll pass it back to Jeff to talk a little bit more about, this launch is coming August 6th, but we have a lot already planned coming shortly after that. So I'll let him talk about a little bit about that.
Great, thank you, Madyson. Okay, so yeah, I talked a little bit about, I think I talked about all of these already during the demo, but I'll touch on them again. So the idea here with a wellness check-in is after you complete the investigation, you'll have a reminder 30 days and clearly marked in the interface that you should follow up with the involved parties to make sure they're doing okay. And so it's just a very streamlined way of doing that. We were hoping to release the wellness check-in and the messaging to employees at the end of August. We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule, which is great. So it'd be more like a mid-August type of thing. So those are coming really soon after release. And then the surface precedent, which I talked a little bit about too, is as you're going through to make your recommendations, Vera will pull through relevant similar investigations, just so you have that information clearly at your fingertips as you make your recommendations. You can very easily click into those investigations and see it, but only if you have access. So if you don't have access to that investigation, you will not see it. It's only if you have access to those investigations. So yeah, we want to make sure that you have as much information as possible to make your decisions. So that will be coming towards the end of August. Cool. Well, that is it. What's coming next?
All right. One last question I have for you, Jeff, because I'm not sure on this one. Is there a way to place an investigation on hold in case someone goes on a leave of absence during an investigation?
So there's not. I mean, you can just there's not really a way to say this is on hold. I mean, obviously you can just kind of pause it just like you're not interacting with it anymore, but there's not like a specific hold tag you can add to it. Something we can look for something to add in the future. It's not hard to do that. It's just, I just had that question did not come up during our user interviews.
Awesome. Yeah, and there's lots of functionality, on the case itself too, if you want to like date stamp a note and say, hey, investigator on leave, like investigation will be paused. That way you have that record on the case itself that it's on pause, and that's why maybe that investigation will have a longer time to resolution.
Good point, Madyson. Yep.
Okay, let me just make sure we didn't miss any other questions or chats. Okay. Looks like we got them all. Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much. We're excited that you're excited. And we cannot wait for you all to get your hands on this product and start giving us even more feedback. So again, August 6th, this will be launching. Pro and Enterprise customers, it'll be in your dashboard, ready to go. We will share some resource center, guides on how to use it as well. But if you have any questions, need support, or have feedback, please, please, please feel free to reach out, either our support email here, or if you have a dedicated CSM, feel free to reach out to them. They're eager to hear your feedback. And also, this is recorded and we'll share it out with all the registrants. So feel free to share it with more of your team or look back to access it if you need to. But thank you all so much for taking the time.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
great
Great
rest of your
questions.
day.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.